Hey everybody, welcome back to Adventures in Old Fashions, the 2022 Christmas special. We'll call this part 2. So the venison stew turned out fantastic, like it always does. One second here. I don't know if you can make that out, but it is just as delicious as it looks. Don't bother asking for the recipe. I won't tell you. It's a family secret, and I tweak it a little bit, but it's delicious. Anyone that's had it will, I'm sure, agree. And I definitely think that this is going to be a new tradition for us here. Is me making venison stew for Christmas Eve. It's been cooking in the crock pot, the slow cooker, it was like 6 hours, 6.5 hours by the time we ate it. And it was fantastic. I will let you know a little secret. I went ahead and microwaved the potatoes and the carrots, the root vegetables in there, ahead of time before I put them in the slow cooker, and it definitely broke them down and thickened them up for that second day texture and flavor profile. Those of you that do stew, do slow cook, crock pot dishes, pot roast, things like that. You know what I'm talking about, the homemade soups. The next day is definitely better than the first day, and by kind of pre-cooking those vegetables, it definitely added that next day quality to it. So there's a little tip that I will share with you guys. So as is tradition, I am in the middle of watching Die Hard and drinking some old fashions. So I thought it was suggested to me that I share with you my old fashioned recipe. Well, there's a lot of different ways to make old fashions. There's the classic one. If you're from Wisconsin, you kind of know what I'm talking about. There's little variances. Some people, will say you don't put a cherry in it. Some people say you do. I have a bit of a sweet tooth, so I definitely kind of sweeten mine up a little bit. So how I do mine is I definitely got my oranges. I generally peel the rind off before I muddle the orange, because I don't want to risk getting any of that bitterness in there. I got my cherries. I just get the cheap maraschino cherries. In a perfect world, I would be using the Bing cherries, but you get what you get. I'm also a big fan of using bourbon whiskey. I do sometimes do the traditional, brandy old fashions. Thanksgiving is typically the time of year that I'll do that. And then, like I said, I got a sweet tooth, so instead of the sugar, I use maple syrup. And if you guys can track down Viennese trees, they age their maple syrup 2 years in bourbon barrels. So complements each other fantastically for any kind of a drink where you're going to use some kind of a syrup or sweetener. But for me, liking my old fashions a little on the sweet side, fantastic. So I'll get working on that and kind of give you breakdowns as I go through. All right, so I got my orange slice without the rind and my cherry all muddled in there. So now the important part is, the whiskey, the syrup. It's a very technical process. It's very important that you measure exact. It's an exact science. You want to make sure that you're very consistent. Give her a little mixer there with my fancy bar tending equipment that I have. Get a little bit of a wash in there. This is not a sponsored video by any means, so I'm just using what I have. I'm not getting paid or reimbursed, no free product from any of these companies. This is just kind of what I do, how I do it. So it's what I like, and it has nothing to do with sponsorship or free product. That's just kind of how I roll. And I'm going to use my fantastic dice ice. So I'll throw a little 12-sided in there and throw an 8-sided in there. Give her a little bit of a mix. And there we are. And now that I got my Old Fashioned set to go, I can continue watching Die Hard as is tradition. So I hope you guys are having a great holidays, great Christmas. I know I am. And I just want to leave you guys with a couple of thoughts. So welcome to the party, pal. And yippee-ki-yay,